Hi everybody, welcome to Facebook Live with the Alzheimer's Association for February, Black History Month. I'm very happy to be here with you today. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Edgerly, Executive Director for the Northern California and Northern Nevada chapter, and thank you for joining us here. I did want to start with recognizing the important role of African Americans in the history of Alzheimer's, and I've learned about this. Recently, we discovered that a physician who actually was the first African-American psychiatrist, Solomon Carter Fuller, was side by side with Alois Alzheimer during those early days before Dr. Alzheimer's identified Auguste D as having Alzheimer's. So he was actively helping to perform the autopsies and was a key figure in the history and the understanding of Alzheimer's. So we've had a wonderful time this month really recognizing all the amazing work and accomplishments of African Americans worldwide. And that reminds us about how Alzheimer's affects the African American community. So I wanted to point out some statistics that some of you may or may not know. African Americans are twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's as their peers who are not African American. And if that weren't bad enough, they're even less likely to be diagnosed. So we have this disparity that's very concerning. We also see this disparity in Latinos, by the way, who are 1.5 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's and also less likely to be diagnosed. So we have a lot of work to do to make sure that everyone is actually able to get a diagnosis regardless of their race or ethnicity, and that for the African American community in particular, we want to make sure they have access to accurate information and help as soon as possible in the disease process. I wanted to share with you that we do have our African American Community Forum coming up in Berkeley, California on April 13th. It's our annual event, a wonderful opportunity to come together, meet other caregivers and also professionals in the community. So I hope if you can join us in the East Bay on April 13th, we would love to have you. So next up, I wanted to share with you more about some of the events we have. Spring is a busy time around here, especially with regards to education and conferences. So on March 6th, we have our early stage forum taking place in Sacramento. This is for people with a recent diagnosis of Alzheimer's or a related dementia, and is designed for those individuals to come, meet others who've been recently diagnosed, and for their care partners to join them as well. So I hope you'll check that out on our website. Also in March, we have our education conference in Solano. Again, you can get more information about this, but March 27th in Solano, April 3rd up in Chico, and April 6th, we have our annual Chinese Caregiver Forum. This will be taking place in Mandarin in Santa Clara, and we hope you can come for that. So please take advantage of those. Now, we have a request of you. We would like for you to volunteer with us. We have lots of opportunities, lots of ways that you can change the world for the better. And I'm mentioning this now as I just finished telling you about some of our education programs, because perhaps one of our greatest needs right now is for community educators and other volunteers. You may or may not know that almost all of our support groups are led by wonderful, talented volunteers. Now we're engaging more volunteers out in the community sharing presentations. If you think you'd like to get involved, give us a call. We'd love to talk with you and see if it's a fit. And if it is, we will train you and support you and help you be a fabulous representative of the Alzheimer's Association. If you're just joining us, welcome. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Edgerly with the Alzheimer's Association here in Northern California and Northern Nevada. In addition to the program opportunities for volunteering, we always need help with other activities. So probably one of our other great needs is for people to help us with the Walk to End Alzheimer's as committee members and on our Longest Day Committee. Those are two big opportunities. And then our public policy and advocacy opportunities. So for most people, you can come and kind of look around, see what we have by way of volunteer opportunities and see what works for you. We would love to invite you. And by the way, we tend to get people who end up doing more than one thing. So hopefully you're one of those people. I hope you'll reach out. So you may have noticed that I've got some interesting clothing on today. I have a wonderful scarf here about the longest day. So what is the longest day? The longest day of the year is the summer solstice, and this year it is June 21st. And on the summer solstice, the Alzheimer's Association focuses on recognizing the efforts of caregivers. So we have our new slogan this year, on the day with the most light is the day we fight. And I hope that you will join us by forming a team for the longest day. I signed up last month and now I've started sending emails. I have a team called Psychologists Against Alzheimer's. If you'd like to join, please do. I would love to have you. But really what it's about is doing something you enjoy and bringing together your friends to raise money and awareness for the Alzheimer's Association. There are lots of great examples of what you can do, and really it's about having fun and supporting a great cause. One example that I love is from one of our board members, Kim Stepp, and she shared with us an idea she had last year, which is she invited her friends to come over for a nice dinner. She said, I'll take care of the dinner and the wine, you just donate what you would spend on the nice dinner out. And her friends came. She raised over $2,000, I think, and they had a wonderful time and supported a great cause. So that's one way, but there's lots of ways. And as I said, we'll help you. So if you just get started, our volunteers will reach out to you and help you figure out what the best fit is for you and help you be successful. And if you do it right away, like today, and you sign up your team, you'll get a fancy t-shirt. Woohoo! It might not sound exciting, but actually these are really nice t-shirts. These are performance t-shirts that are much more comfortable for working out than some of the heavier ones. So if you're thinking you're going to do it today, and then you get this nicer incentive prize. I hope you'll do that. And I don't want to forget about the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Registration is now open. So for those of you who have been with us in the past, I know that we would love to have you back, so go online. You can just pull your team up from last year. It's really wonderful. If you remember how to log in, okay, it's really fantastic because your website is still there. All the people you reached out to last year are still there. So go online and do that. And if you're new, boy, could we use your help. We really want to get more people involved with our biggest signature event, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I wanted to also invite you to an event coming up in just a little over a week. On March 8th is our Memories in the Making Art and Wine Auction, and I want to show you. This is our featured piece of art. This piece of art was created by someone living with Alzheimer's disease, and each year we feature a piece for our invitation, and this is the beautiful piece that will be auctioned off next Friday at the auction, as well as some other hand-selected juried pieces of art, and then a whole lot of other things. So we have lots of opportunities to buy things like trips and wine and other wonderful tours and experiences. And as you're doing that, if you do join us, and I hope you will, it's raising money for a fantastic cause. So we have tickets available. I'll be there. I hope you'll join me. If you're just joining us, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Edgerly, and this is Facebook Live for the Alzheimer's Association in Northern California, Northern Nevada. Welcome. Now I want to talk a little bit about public policy and advocacy. If you're new to the Alzheimer's Association, you may not know that we are working behind the scenes with literally thousands upon thousands of advocates to try to influence research funding and the quality of life and the quality of care for people living with Alzheimer's. At the federal level, our focus has been on increasing the amount of money the federal government spends on Alzheimer's science, and we have had some amazing successes. We are now up to the point of $2.3 billion annually for Alzheimer's science, which is fantastic. And many of you, perhaps, who are watching are advocates who actually asked Congress, called them up and said, I want you to support Alzheimer's research. Thank you for doing that. I invite all of you to join us in Washington, D.C. for our Alzheimer's Impact Movement, or AIM, Public Policy Forum. It's March 31st through April 2nd. If you've never joined us, it is a fantastic experience, and we will surround you and support you and help teach you how to go on the Hill and make asks of our representatives to make sure that the families we care about are taken care of by the government. Also, at the state level, we've had some wonderful things happening here in California. Thank you to Governor Gavin Newsom for his focus on Alzheimer's. He actually talked about Alzheimer's in his State of the State address and has earmarked funding specifically for Alzheimer's in his budget. We could not be more pleased with that, and now there's actually going to be a task force headed up by former First Lady Maria Shriver, and again, we are thrilled that California might end up being a leader again in Alzheimer's care and support, and perhaps even research. We do have a bill that we're working on at the state level in California, AB 388, and our focus with this bill is to help recognize that we need to identify Alzheimer's earlier and take steps to address help and support for those individuals. So if you think you'd like to get involved, we sure could use your help. If you haven't signed up to become an advocate, it's easy to do. Look at the comments, we'll be able to send you the link there and you can sign up easily. It doesn't commit you to much, except we'll let you know when we need your help in writing or calling your representatives either at the state or federal level. If you want to get even more involved, we have volunteer opportunities for ambassadors and champions. It's an incredible opportunity to work with a whole team of volunteers who are about changing the world for the better. So I hope you'll check that out. Oh, and before I move on, we have our Advocacy Day in Nevada coming up April 16th. If you're in Nevada, we'd love to have you join us for that.
And before you move on, there's a question from Stephen Barbieri about our position on CBD oil.
Oh, hi Stephen. Good, thanks for the question. We actually, in terms of a position on CBD oil, I don't know that we have an official position, but let me tell you what we talk about when we look at it. What we're eager to see is actual research on CBD oil, because anecdotally, sometimes we've heard from people that it's helped, and yet the research doesn't really exist. So I always want to be humble when we talk about these things. So for a given individual, if they're finding that CBD oil is helpful to them, that's great. That's fantastic. All we can say is there's not really research to say one way or the other as to whether or not it is helpful. So that's a long way of saying, you know what, at this point, if you think it's helpful and it doesn't have risky side effects for you, that may be just fine. We would be cautious in terms of recommending it to the general public until such time as there's more evidence about it. And I also do encourage people to talk with their doctor or other people who might be more knowledgeable about CBD oil. I still think it's so new that we're still trying to figure this out. But your question actually brings me to something that actually just happened a couple of weeks ago. And this is that the FDA issued warnings. And this was, I've been with the association over 20 years. I don't remember them doing something quite like this at this scale. They issued 17 warnings to companies that are marketing supplements, dietary supplements. So these could be over-the-counter pills, essentially, or other types of supplements. And they are marketing them as being helpful for Alzheimer's disease. I wanted to share this with you because I do think it is always important for us to be careful, be savvy consumers. And sometimes I'll be aware that the FDA has threatened a firm with consequences, and yet I still see it on shelves. So some of you have seen ads out there for something maybe involving jellyfish or some type of other remedy, a plant or something like that, that has yet to be proven. And so I just wanted everyone to be aware that this just happened. It was quite interesting to see that they're really taking this seriously and demanding that these companies pull back. The main thing we want to say here is that we want you to be careful if you are taking supplements to be cautious about unanticipated side effects. I'll give you an example. There is one type of supplement called St. John's wort, which is a very powerful supplement. I've known about it for years. It's sometimes recommended for people as an over-the-counter treatment for depression. And one of the things that they learned as people started taking St. John's wort is it is so powerful that it actually can counteract all your other medications. So if you're taking heart medication, high blood pressure medication, thyroid, whatever, and you're taking St. John's wort, it's pretty likely that your other drugs are going to be completely ineffective. So that's just one example of something where sometimes these medications can, even though they're from plants, they are powerful medications. So I just want everybody to be safe and be cautious and make sure that whatever they're taking isn't going to end up harming them in any way or counteracting other medications that may be important. Last but not least about research is I do want to remind people about our program called Trial Match, which is a way for you to sign up to see if you may match to a study that's recruiting locally. I've done this, and I was matched to a caregiver study. Some of you may know that I'm a long-distance caregiver for my mother, and so I signed up and I did an online survey. It was really easy, really quick, and I was able to help a scientist collect data and also help the field to understand more about people like me. If you'd like to volunteer, this is an easy way to see if you match, and then it's up to you. You look at the information, you decide if you want to proceed. So that's all for February. If you are just joining us, I hope you'll look back and see the many ways you can get involved with the Alzheimer's Association. And as always, if you have questions, let us know. Even if you're just joining now, send us your questions. We're happy to respond. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next month. Bye, everybody.